Adrenaline and reflex, they're different. You know, if you're walking through the woods and something snaps behind you, automatically you're turning around looking for it. And sometimes you have your gun up looking for it.
A decision that he made that was probably one of the worst decisions he could ever make in his life. It's stupidity too, though, because it was dark and he couldn't see what he was shooting at.
Well, you hear the stories from other people, and you're thinking, well, that'll never happen to me because I'm too safe in the woods and I do this and I do that. And this incident just shows that even the safest can be affected by carelessness.
Really need to stop and take the time to think about what you're doing, how you're doing it, whether it's the right choice or not.
I never worried about him being safe. He always had his orange on. He abided by the law.
When you're hunting like that, you pull the trigger. Whatever's on the end of that gun is gonna die.
Jimmy was a lot like my family in a way. He liked to be outdoors. He liked to do the ATV thing with his snowmobiling and four-wheeling, and he loved to fish, and he really loved to hunt. Best friend, his name was Adam Marquis. They hunted all the time together. They fished all the time together. They called each other all the time about the hunting, or going rabbit hunting or deer hunting, or preparing for the next season coming up. It was all about that.
I was trying out my father's rifle because that one hadn't been used in a long time. So we went out to the gravel pit. We just shot once, and that was pretty close to sighted in. So we said, all right, let's go.
I always considered myself a safe hunter. Was always really careful, where your gun's pointed, treat a weapon as it's always loaded, whether it is or not. Just being careful, and you can never be too careful with a gun.
We went out and we agreed that we would meet back at a certain spot, when we were finished.
Okay guys, we'll meet right back here at dark.
The weekend before that, or the last time we had hunted together, he got home and got doing something else, and so we only had like an hour to hunt, so I was telling him, we need to hurry up and get out this time so we have a little more time.
He liked to hunt alone too a lot. That was because he liked just being out there by himself, and he didn't want anyone messing anything up for him.
That weekend, I had just bought a new tree stand on Saturday, and he helped me set it up Sunday afternoon. So I was anxious to get out and see if the spot we picked was a good one.
Hunter safety courses, there's a lot of common sense things, and when they first started teaching it, that's what I kept telling myself, so I didn't pay attention. But you can learn things that you don't realize you can learn.
One of the most safest hunters I know. He's just very particular about everything when it comes to hunting. Safety, other people's safety, that type of thing.
Oh, that day started off, I think I had gone into town that morning with my girlfriend. Then after that, I told her, I wanted to go hunting. Went to Jimmy's house, well, his dad's house actually. And that's where I had my gun in, the cabinet and everything. And so I stopped and nobody was at the house. So I went in, I got all my gear on, got my gun, shells, all that good stuff. And started walking down the trail by the house. And I parked right behind Jimmy's truck. I saw Jimmy's truck down there. So I was like, oh, cool, Jimmy's out here hunting. So I get out, and stand there, load my gun up or whatever. And there's a little trail off to the left where we parked. And I, slowly started walking down the trail and got down to where it takes a sharp bend to the left, and then there's like a straight stretch of just, trail you can see up there, probably 150 yards or so. So I looked up, and about halfway down there, I saw, a hunter sitting in a stand, which I believed was Jimmy.
I remember looking off to my right and seeing a hunter come in off another trail, the one that we had come in originally. And he looked around and he looked up and saw me and then turned around and walked off, and so I thought he had left.
So I was like, okay, Jimmy's, hunting in his stand. He's got this big open area, so I'll just, back off and give him his space. So I went back a little bit and I took another trail down to the right and kind of sat over a bog area. The sun was just starting to go down, and my brother came over, and I remember thinking, man, why couldn't he have stayed up there just a little bit longer, because it's not quite time to leave and stuff. He's like, well, we got to get going. And I remember telling him that, or at least thinking about, well, Jimmy's not going to be out until it's almost dark anyway, because he likes to sit there so he doesn't scare him off when he's coming out of his tree stand. So I stayed up there a little longer, and my brother stood at the bottom of the tree stand, and I finally got down out of the tree stand and walked over, and me and my brother walked down to where we talked about meeting, and we were talking the whole way, and we weren't being quiet at all. We would have scared off anything that was right there. I sat down on a stump, and I was sitting there for, a couple hours or whatnot, and I had heard a few grunts off over the bog, after I had been there for a while. So it started, getting kind of dark out, dusk, and I heard walking behind me. So I figured, Jimmy was getting done or whatnot, and there was a whistle. He whistled. And at that time, after that, I heard crashing out in front of me.